I didn't know that helping a bleeding stranger on a rainy Tuesday night would destroy my life. I didn't know he'd remember my face, and I definitely didn't know he was the most dangerous man in the city, but he knew exactly who I was the moment I touched him. My name is Elias Kane, and I'm what people call disposable, single omega. No mate, no family, just me and my 4-year-old son, Noah, trying to survive in a city that chews up people like us and spits them out without a second thought. I worked at Silvercrest Logistics, night shift data entry. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid for our tiny apartment in the Northside district and kept Noah in daycare while I slept during the day. The job was everything. Without it, we had nothing. I remember that night so clearly it hurts. The rain was coming down in sheets, turning the streets into rivers of neon reflections. My shift had just ended at 11, and I was walking to the bus stop, hood pulled up, hands shoved deep in my pockets. That's when I saw him. He was slumped against the brick wall of an alley between 5th and Morrison, one hand pressed to his side, dark liquid seeping between his fingers. Blood. Too much blood. I should have kept walking. That's what you do in the city. You mind your business, you survive. But he looked up at me. His eyes were steel gray, sharp even through the pain. Rain dripped from his dark hair, and his jaw was clenched so tight I could see the muscle jumping beneath his skin. "Help!" he rasped. Just one word. I froze. My instincts screamed at me to run, but something in those eyes held me there. Desperation. Vulnerability. Something I recognized because I'd felt it myself too many times. "Please." That second word broke me. I dropped to my knees beside him, my hands shaking as I pulled his hand away from the wound. A deep gash across his ribs, still bleeding heavily. "What happened?" I whispered, already pulling off my jacket to press against the injury. "Doesn't matter." His voice was rough, his accent I couldn't place. European, maybe. Refined. "Just need to stop the bleeding." "You need a hospital." "No." His hand shot out, gripping my wrist with surprising strength. "No hospitals, no police." Red flags. So many red flags. But I nodded anyway. I worked fast, using my jacket and then my scarf to wrap the wound as tight as I could. His scent hit me in waves, rain and leather, and something darker. Something that made my omega instincts both recoil and lean closer. Alpha. Strong alpha. His breathing was labored, each exhale a soft hiss of pain. Up close, I could see he was beautiful in that dangerous, untouchable way. Sharp cheekbones, a scar cutting through his left eyebrow, expensive watch on his wrist, now splattered with blood. "What's your name?" he asked suddenly. I hesitated. "Elias?" "Elias." He repeated it like he was memorizing it. "Thank you, Elias. Don't thank me yet. You might still bleed out." A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "Not tonight." The rain kept falling. I could feel it soaking through my shirt, cold against my skin, but I didn't move. Something about this moment felt suspended, like the world had narrowed down to just the two of us in this grimy alley. "You should go," he said after a moment. "Before—" Headlights suddenly flooded the alley entrance. A black SUV screeched to a halt, and 3 men in dark suits jumped out, moving with military precision. The stranger's hand tightened on my wrist. "Go! Now!" But I couldn't move. The men were already surrounding us, and one of them, tall, broad-shouldered, with cold eyes, looked at me like I was a problem that needed solving. "Sir," the man said, ignoring me completely, "we need to move you." "He helped me, Constantine." The stranger's voice changed, became something harder, commanding. "He's under my protection, understand?" Constantine's eyes flickered to me, reassessing. Understood. They lifted the stranger with practiced efficiency, supporting him between them. He never let go of my wrist. "Your name," I said suddenly. Don't know why I needed to know. "What's your name?" Those gray eyes met mine one last time. "Damien." Then they were gone, the SUV disappearing into the rain-soaked night like they'd never been there at all. I stood there, alone in the alley, my hands covered in someone else's blood, my mind racing. What had I just done? I made it home at 1 in the morning, exhausted and shaking. Mrs. Chen from 3B had been watching Noah, bless her. I paid her what I could and collapsed onto my couch, staring at the water-stained ceiling. Sleep didn't come easy. When I finally dragged myself to work the next evening, my supervisor, Marcus, was waiting at my desk. "Kane, office, now." My stomach dropped. Marcus didn't waste time. "We're letting you go." "What? Why?" "You were late punching in last night. Left your station early. We have standards." "Kane, I wasn't late. I clocked in on time. And I left exactly when my shift ended. Are you calling me a liar?" His voice went cold. I bit my tongue. I knew what this was. Marcus had been looking for an excuse to fire me for months. Something about me being an unmated Omega with a kid made him uncomfortable. "Please," I heard myself say, hating how desperate I sounded. "I need this job. My son. Should have thought about that before you decided rules don't apply to you." He slid a manila envelope across the desk. 2 weeks severance. Security will escort you out. The walk of shame through the office. Security guard at my elbow. Everyone staring. It felt like drowning. Outside, the night air hit me like a slap. I stood on the sidewalk, that pathetic envelope in my hands, and felt my whole world crumbling. 2 weeks severance wouldn't even cover next month's rent. Noah needed new shoes. The daycare payment was due Friday. I was so screwed. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands, trying to calculate how long we could survive, when a notification popped up. "Unknown number. The stranger you helped last night wants to thank you properly. Black car, corner of 5th and Morrison. 10 minutes. My blood went cold. How did they get my number? How did they know where I worked? I should have deleted it, blocked the number, gone straight home to Noah. But I thought about that severance envelope, about the empty fridge and the overdue bills. I thought about Damien's gray eyes in the rain, and I started walking toward 5th and Morrison. The black SUV was already there, idling at the curb. The back door opened as I approached. Constantine sat in the driver's seat, watching me in the rearview mirror with those cold, assessing eyes. "Get in, Omega." Every instinct screamed danger, but desperation makes you do stupid things. I got in. The interior was pure luxury. Leather seats, tinted windows, subtle scent of expensive cologne. And sitting across from me, looking far healthier than he had any right to after last night, was Damien. The wound on his side was bandaged beneath a crisp white shirt. His suit probably cost more than my entire year's salary. He looked like power incarnate. "Elias." His voice was warm, but there was something underneath it. Something that made my Omega instincts perk up and take notice. "I'm glad you came. How did you find me?" "I wanted to thank you properly." He ignored my question, leaning forward slightly. "You saved my life last night. Anyone would have—" "No." His eyes locked on mine. "They wouldn't have. This city is full of people who look the other way. But you stopped. You helped. You asked for nothing in return." The car started moving. I tensed. "Where are we going?" "To dinner. You're hungry, aren't you?" I was. I'd skipped lunch to save money. But this felt wrong. Dangerous. "I can't. My son is with Mrs. Chen from 3B. I've already paid her for the evening." My blood turned to ice. "How do you know?" "I make it my business to know everything about people who interest me, Elias." He tilted his head slightly, studying me. "And you interest me very much. I lost my job today." I don't know why I said it. Maybe because I was tired of pretending everything was fine. Something flickered in Damien's eyes. "Did you?" It wasn't a question. "Because I helped you. Because I laughed bitterly. "Because I was late getting home, and my supervisor's been looking for an excuse to fire the single Omega dad for months." Silence filled the car. Damien's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "What's the name of your former employer?" "Silvercrest Logistics. But it doesn't matter." "It matters." His voice dropped an octave, and suddenly the temperature in the car seemed to plummet. "It matters very much. Look, I appreciate the dinner offer, but I really need to get home. I'm going to tell you something, Elias." Damien leaned back, his eyes never leaving mine. "And I need you to listen very carefully." My heart hammered against my ribs. "The man you helped last night isn't just anyone. I control half the business in this city. When I give an order, people obey. When I protect someone, his lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. They stay protected. What are you saying? I'm saying you made a choice last night. You chose kindness when you could have chosen safety. You chose me. The car pulled up to a restaurant I'd only seen in magazines, the kind of place where reservations take months, and a single meal costs more than my weekly grocery budget. Damien opened the door himself, extending his hand to me. Now I'm choosing you, Elias Kane, and unlike the people who fired you, his gray eyes gleamed with something dark and possessive. I always take care of what's mine. I stared at his outstretched hand, my mind screaming warnings, my heart racing. Behind us, I heard Constantine say something into his phone. 3 words that made my blood freeze. Acquire Silvercrest Logistics. My hand trembled in the space between us. Acquire. The word barely made it past my lips. You can't just... That's not how... I can. Damien's voice was matter of fact, like he was discussing the weather. And I am. The restaurant loomed behind him, all golden light and impossible elegance. People in designer clothes moved past us on the sidewalk, their laughter floating on the evening air, like we existed in 2 different worlds. We did exist in 2 different worlds. I don't understand, my voice cracked. What do you want from me? His hand was still extended, patient, waiting. Dinner, conversation. His eyes traced my face like he was memorizing every detail. A chance to know the Omega who didn't look away. That's it? For now. Those 2 words carried weight I couldn't fully process. My mind was still stuck on what Constantine had said. Acquire Silvercrest Logistics. Like it was nothing. Like an entire company, my former workplace, hundreds of employees, was just something you could buy on a whim. Who are you? I whispered. Really? Damien's smile was slow, dangerous. Come to dinner and I'll tell you. I took his hand. The moment our skin touched, electricity shot up my arm. His scent hit me stronger now. No rain to wash it away, no blood to mask it. Pure alpha, dark and intoxicating and completely overwhelming. He felt it too. I saw his pupils dilate slightly, his grip on my hand tightening just a fraction. Inside, he said, voice rougher than before. The restaurant was called Aurelius. I'd read about it once. 3 Michelin stars, 6-month waiting list. The kind of place where celebrities proposed and business empires were negotiated over wine that cost more than my car. The maitre d' took one look at Damien and practically bowed. Mr. Volkov, your usual table is ready. Volkov. The name hit me like ice water. Damien Volkov. Oh, God. Oh, no. Everyone in the city knew that name. You didn't have to run in criminal circles to know about the Volkov family. They were old money and new power, legitimate business fronts hiding God knows what underneath. Rumors swirled around them like smoke. Arms dealing, money laundering, connections to every corrupt politician in the state. And I'd just gotten into a car with the head of the entire operation. Damien guided me through the restaurant with his hand on the small of my back. That simple touch sent heat radiating through my entire body. Wrong. This was so wrong. But I couldn't make myself pull away. Our table was in a private corner, separated from the main dining room by frosted glass panels. Intimate, isolated, dangerous. He pulled out my chair himself. I sat because my legs were shaking too badly to stand. You look terrified, Damien observed as he settled across from me. Should I be? That depends. He poured wine into my glass. Something deep red that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Do you plan to betray me? I don't even know you. Then you have nothing to fear. A waiter appeared with menus, disappeared just as quickly. The silence between us felt alive, crackling with tension I didn't know how to name. Why did you really bring me here? I asked, proud that my voice stayed steady. I told you to thank you. Stop. The word came out sharper than I intended. Stop treating me like I'm stupid. You don't acquire an entire company to thank someone for basic human decency. You don't... I gestured at the restaurant, at him, at everything. You don't do any of this for a stranger. Damien's expression shifted. The polite mask cracked, and underneath I saw something raw, hungry. You're right, he said quietly. I don't. My heart hammered against my ribs. Then why? Because when you touched me last night, something inside me recognized you. His eyes locked on mine, and I couldn't look away. My alpha knew. The moment your scent hit me, even through the blood and rain and pain, I knew. No, 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 no. That's not possible, I whispered. Isn't it? He leaned forward slightly. Tell me you didn't feel it too. Tell me your omega didn't respond to mine. I couldn't, because he was right. In that alley, even terrified and confused, some primal part of me had wanted to stay close to him, had felt safe despite every logical reason not to. Fated mates are rare, I said, grasping for any logical argument. 1 in a million. And even if I have a son, a life, I can't just... I know about Noah. Damien's voice softened slightly. 4 years old, loves dinosaurs, allergic to strawberries, attends Little Sprouts daycare on Maple Street. Fear shot through me, cold and sharp. Stay away from my son. I would never hurt a child, Elias. He looked almost offended. Especially not yours. How do I know that? How do I know any of this is real and not just... I struggled for words. Not just some elaborate game? You don't. He said it simply. Honestly. You'll have to trust me. I don't trust criminals. And yet you helped one anyway. His smile was bitter. Does that make you complicit or just kind? The food arrived. Course after course of things I couldn't even name. I barely tasted any of it. My entire world was narrowing down to the man across from me, to the impossible things he was saying, to the way my body responded to his presence, despite my mind screaming warnings. Silvercrest fired you because you were late, Damien said between courses. But that's not the real reason, is it? I swallowed hard. Marcus, my supervisor, he never liked having an unmated omega on staff, said it was complicated. Complicated? Damien's jaw tightened. Because you might go into heat. Because you're a liability without an alpha to control you. The bitterness in his voice surprised me. That's just how it is, I said quietly. It shouldn't be. Well, it is. And now I'm unemployed with a 4-year-old depending on me, so forgive me if I'm not particularly interested in your philosophical views on omega rights. Silence fell between us, sharp and uncomfortable. Then Damien laughed. Actually laughed. A real sound, surprised and genuine. You're angry with me, he said, something like delight in his eyes. Of course I'm angry. You've turned my life upside down. You're talking about fate and bonds like this is some kind of romance novel, and I stopped, breathing hard. I just want my normal, boring, safe life back. No, you don't. Excuse me? Damien leaned forward, and suddenly the space between us felt charged. Electric. If you wanted safe, you would have walked past me in that alley. If you wanted normal, you wouldn't have gotten in my car. If you wanted boring, his voice dropped lower. You wouldn't be looking at me the way you are right now. And how am I looking at you? Like you want me to kiss you. His eyes dropped to my lips, and like you're terrified I might actually do it. My breath caught. He was right. God help me, he was right. This is insane, I whispered. Yes, I should leave. You should. Neither of us moved. The frosted glass panels around us felt like they were closing in. The restaurant noise faded to nothing. There was only Damien's eyes on mine, only the thundering of my pulse, only the impossible pull between us that defied every logical thought in my head. I'm going to make you an offer, Damien said finally, and I want you to think very carefully before you answer. What kind of offer? Work for me. Not at Silvercrest. I'm shutting that company down. Work directly for me, my personal assistant. I don't know anything about... The pay is $200,000 a year. Full benefits, housing if you need it. Noah's daycare costs covered, plus a college fund. The numbers made my head spin. That was more than I'd make in 5 years at Silvercrest. Why? My voice came out hoarse. Because I want you close. Damien's honesty was brutal. Because my alpha won't rest until I know you're safe, provided for, protected. Because... He stopped, jaw working. Because you're mine, Elias. whether you accept that yet or not. I'm not anyone's. Then prove it. His eyes glinted with challenge. Turn down my offer. Walk away. Go back to your tiny apartment and your empty fridge and tell me you don't feel this thing between us. I opened my mouth to do exactly that, but the words wouldn't come. Because I did feel it. This impossible, terrifying, overwhelming pull toward a man I barely knew. A criminal. A monster, probably. A monster who was looking at me like I was the only thing in the world that mattered. I need time, I finally managed. You have until tomorrow. Damien signaled for the check. Constantine will drive you home. Think about my offer, Elias. Think about what kind of life you want for yourself and your son. He stood, buttoning his suit jacket with practiced ease. And Elias? He paused beside my chair, close enough that I could feel the heat of him. Next time we have dinner, I won't be so patient. Then he was gone, leaving me alone with half-eaten food and a choice that would change everything. I sat frozen in that chair for what felt like hours, but was probably only seconds. My hands were shaking again. The waiter returned, silent and efficient, clearing plates I barely remembered eating from. He didn't ask if I needed anything, didn't look at me directly, like he'd been trained not to see whatever happened at Damien Volkov's table. That thought made my stomach turn. I pushed back from the table, my chair scraping too loud against the floor. The other diners, the few I could see through the frosted glass, didn't even glance my way. Money bought privacy. Money bought silence. Money bought people. Was that what Damien was doing? Buying me? 200,000 a year. The number kept echoing in my head, obscene and tempting in equal measure. I could give Noah everything. New clothes that actually fit, books, toys that weren't secondhand, a bedroom that didn't have water stains on the ceiling, security. But at what cost? Constantine was waiting by the SUV when I stepped outside. The night air hit my face, cool and sharp, cutting through the wine fog in my head. Mr. Kane. He opened the back door with mechanical precision. I hesitated on the sidewalk. I can take the bus. Mr. Volkov insisted. I don't care what he... Please. The words sounded wrong coming from Constantine's mouth, like he wasn't used to saying it. It's late. The north side route isn't safe this time of night. He was right. 2 buses, 40 minutes, through neighborhoods where Omega disappearances made the news once a week before being forgotten. I got in the car. Constantine didn't speak as he pulled into traffic. The city slid past the tinted windows, neon signs, late-night crowds, the beautiful people heading to clubs I'd never set foot in. I pressed my forehead against the cool glass, trying to organize my thoughts into something coherent. How long have you worked for him? I asked suddenly. Constantine's eyes met mine in the rearview mirror. 12 years. Is he... I struggled for the right words. Is he a good man? Silence stretched between us. I thought he wouldn't answer. Then, Mr. Volkov is a fair man, a loyal man. He protects what's his. That's not what I asked. It's the answer you'll get. I laughed bitterly. Right, of course. The car turned onto my street, cracked pavement, flickering streetlights, buildings that had been run down when I moved in and had only gotten worse. The contrast between this and Aurelius was almost violent. This was my reality. Damien's world was fantasy. Constantine pulled up to my building, but didn't unlock the doors immediately. A word of advice, Mr. Kane. His voice was carefully neutral. Mr. Volkov doesn't make offers lightly, and he doesn't take rejection well. Is that a threat? It's a warning. He finally unlocked the doors. From someone who's seen what happens when people underestimate him. Mrs. Chen was dozing on my couch when I let myself in, some late-night talk show playing on mute. She startled awake, blinking at me in confusion. Elias, I didn't hear you come in. Sorry, Mrs. Chen. Thank you for watching Noah. I pulled out my wallet, but she waved me off. Already paid, dear. Very generous man, that friend of yours. Friend, right. We're not... I stopped. How did you explain Damien Volkov? It's complicated. She patted my hand as she gathered her things. The good ones always are. Noah was an angel, by the way, asleep by 8. After she left, I stood in my tiny living room, listening to the building settle around me. Mrs. Garcia's TV through the wall, someone's bass thumping from upstairs, the familiar symphony of too many people living too close together, home, safe, suffocating. I checked on Noah out of habit, even though I knew he'd be fine. He was curled up in his bed, clutching the stuffed triceratops I'd found at a thrift store last month. His hair, dark like mine, fell across his forehead. His chest rose and fell with the easy rhythm of childhood sleep. My son, my everything. What kind of life could I give him here? What kind of future? I thought about Damien's offer, $200,000 a year, college fund, security. I thought about his eyes when he'd said, "You're mine." I thought about how my body had responded, how every omega instinct had screamed yes, even as my brain screamed no. This was impossible. All of it. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Unknown number. But I knew who it was before I even looked. Sleep well, Elias. Tomorrow you choose. I should have blocked the number. Should have deleted it and pretended tonight never happened. Instead, I found myself typing back. You don't own me. The response came instantly. Not yet. My breath caught. Heat flooded through me. Unwanted, undeniable. This is crazy, I typed. Yes, I have a son, a life. I can't just... You can. The question is whether you will. I stared at those words, my thumbs hovering over the keyboard. A dozen responses formed and died. Finally, why me? The typing indicator appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Because you saw me bleeding in an alley and your first instinct was to help, not hurt. Because you asked for nothing in return. Because when I look at you, something in me recognizes something in you. My hands were shaking. That's not a reason. That's not because I've been searching for you my entire life and didn't even know it until last night. Oh God, I need time, I sent back. You have until noon tomorrow. After that, I'm coming to you. That's not fair. I never claimed to be fair, Solnishko. The Russian endearment made something in my chest constrict. I didn't even know what it meant, but the way it looked on my screen, intimate, possessive, made my heart race. Don't call me that. Why not? Because I'm not yours. Your Omega disagrees. He was right. Damn him, he was right. Even now, alone in my apartment, I could feel the pull, the need to be close to him, to submit to something I didn't understand and definitely didn't want, except I did want it. That was the terrifying part. I set my phone down and walked to the bathroom. My reflection in the mirror looked shell-shocked, eyes too wide, color high in my cheeks, lips slightly parted. I looked like someone on the edge of something. The edge of what? I wasn't sure. I stripped off my clothes, still damp from the rain last night, smelling faintly of that alley, and stepped into the shower. The water ran hot, almost scalding, but I couldn't get warm. Couldn't stop thinking about Damien's hands, about his voice when he'd said mine, about the way my entire body had wanted to lean into him, to let him take control, to surrender to this impossible thing between us. I pressed my forehead against the tile, water streaming down my back. What was I going to do? Noah needed stability, safety, a parent who made smart decisions, not reckless ones driven by biology and impossible attraction. But Noah also needed food, clothes, a future that wasn't defined by poverty and limitation. Damien could give us that. Damien could give us everything. And what would he take in return? My phone was ringing when I got out of the shower. Not a text this time. An actual call. I almost didn't answer. Almost. It's 1 a.m, I said instead of hello. I know. Damien's voice was rough, tired. I can't stop thinking about you. My breath caught. You need to stop. I've tried. Believe me, I've tried. A pause. What are you wearing? Excuse me? Are you in bed? On the couch? I'm trying to picture where you are. This was insane. I should hang up, block the number, call the police. Instead, I found myself saying, I just got out of the shower. Silence. Then a sharp intake of breath. Elias. My name sounded like a prayer, like a curse. You're making this very difficult. Making what difficult? Staying away from you. Then stay away. But my voice came out breathless, wanting. I gave you until noon tomorrow. I'm starting to regret that decision. Why? Because right now every instinct I have is screaming at me to come to you, to make sure you're safe, to—" He stopped abruptly. "To what?" "To claim you." The words were raw, honest. "To make you mine in every way that matters. To erase any doubt in your mind about where you belong." My knees went weak. I sat down hard on the edge of my bed. "You can't just say things like that." "Why not? It's the truth." "Because I—" My voice cracked. "Because I don't know how to handle this. Any of this." "Then let me help you. By making all my decisions for me. By giving you options you've never had before." I closed my eyes. "This is too much. Too fast." "I know." His voice softened slightly. "But fate doesn't care about our timeline, Solnishko. It simply is." There was that word again, Solnishko. "What does that mean?" I whispered. "Little sun." A pause. "Because you brought light into my darkness." God, how was I supposed to resist this? "I have to go," I managed. "Think about my offer, Elias. Think about what I can give you. What we could be together. And if I say no—" Silence stretched between us, dangerous and electric. "Then I'll walk away." His voice was steady, but I heard the lie underneath. "But we both know you won't." He hung up before I could respond. I sat there in the dark, my wet hair dripping onto my shoulders, my phone still pressed to my ear. Tomorrow at noon I had to choose. Safety or security, fear or faith. Everything I'd ever known, or everything I'd ever wanted. The choice should have been simple. So why did it feel impossible? I didn't sleep. Couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Damien's face, felt his hand on the small of my back, heard his voice saying mine like it was inevitable. By the time pale gray light started seeping through my bedroom curtains, I'd made and unmade my decision 1,000 times. I dragged myself out of bed at 6, my body aching with exhaustion. Noah would be up soon, demanding breakfast and cartoons and normalcy I wasn't sure I could fake. The coffee maker sputtered to life, filling my tiny kitchen with the only comfort I had left. I leaned against the counter, watching it drip, and tried to think logically. Pro, $200,000. Security, a future for Noah. Con, Damien Volkov was a criminal, dangerous, possessive in ways that should terrify me. Pro, the way my body responded to him felt like coming home. Con, that was my omega talking, not my brain. Pro, he'd promised to protect us. Con, from what? From who? What kind of life required that level of protection? Mama, I turned to find Noah standing in the doorway, dragging his triceratops, hair sticking up in every direction. Hey, baby. I scooped him up, breathing in his little boy scent, shampoo and sleep and innocence. You're up early. Had a dream. He wrapped his arms around my neck. About a big house with a yard and a swing. My heart cracked. Yeah? That sounds nice. Can we get a house like that? Maybe someday, sweetheart. Promise? I held him tighter. I promise I'll try. Noah was halfway through his cereal, the generic brand because name brand was too expensive, when someone knocked on the door. My stomach dropped. It was barely 7 in the morning. Nobody knocked at 7 in the morning unless something was wrong. I checked the peephole. Constantine stood in the hallway, wearing the same dark suit, holding a large envelope. Stay here, I told Noah, then opened the door just wide enough to see out. What are you doing here? Mr. Volkov asked me to deliver this. He held out the envelope. And to wait for your answer. It's not noon yet. He's aware. I stared at the envelope like it might bite me. What is it? Your employment contract. He thought you might want to review it before making your decision. Of course he did, because Damien Volkov thought of everything. I took the envelope with shaking hands. Tell him I'll have an answer by noon, like he promised. Constantine's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes softened slightly. He also asked me to tell you that Noah's daycare payment has been covered for the next 6 months, regardless of your decision. My breath caught. He can't just... He already did. Constantine turned to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, Mr. Kane, I've never seen him like this. Not in 12 years. Like what? Unsure. He met my eyes. You have more power than you think. Then he was gone, leaving me standing in my doorway with an envelope that felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. I waited until Noah was absorbed in cartoons before I opened it. The contract was thorough, terrifyingly thorough. Position: personal assistant to Damien Volkov. Salary $200,000 annually. Benefits: health, dental, vision, life insurance, housing allowance, education fund for dependents. Responsibilities: manage schedule, correspondence, personal affairs as directed. My hands trembled as I read. It looked legitimate, professional, almost normal. Then I got to the additional clauses. Employee agrees to maintain discretion regarding all business matters. Employee agrees to be available for travel as needed. Employee acknowledges the sensitive nature of employer's business and agrees to sign additional non-disclosure agreements. There it was. The catch. I kept reading. Housing. Employer will provide secure housing in the Belmont Towers, valued at approximately $4,000 monthly rent, included in compensation package. Belmont Towers, the luxury high-rise downtown with 24-hour security and a doorman. The kind of place I walked past and never imagined living in. Education fund. $50,000 deposited annually into trust for employees' dependents, accessible for educational expenses. $50,000 every year for Noah's future. My vision blurred. This wasn't just a job offer. This was a complete life transformation. And at the bottom, in Damien's sharp handwriting, this is what I can give you. Imagine what we could build together. Mama, you're crying. I looked up to find Noah standing next to me, his small face creased with worry. I'm okay, baby. I wiped my eyes quickly, just thinking about grown-up stuff. Are we gonna be okay? God, he was 4 years old. He shouldn't have to ask that question. Yes, sweetheart, we're gonna be okay. He climbed into my lap, all sharp elbows and boundless trust. Promise? I held him close, this tiny person who depended on me for everything, and felt the weight of my decision crushing down. What kind of mother was I if I said no? If I turned down security and stability and everything Noah deserved because I was scared? But what kind of mother was I if I said yes? If I brought my son into Damien Volkov's world, a world of danger and secrets and things I couldn't begin to understand? I promise, I whispered into Noah's hair, even though I wasn't sure which promise I was making. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number, except I knew exactly who it was. Have you read it? I typed back with one hand, Noah still in my lap. Yes, and? It's too much. It's not enough. My breath caught. What did that even mean? Damien, I can't. Say my name again. What? You called me Damien, not Mr. Volkov. Say it again. This was insane. We were negotiating my entire future over text message, and he was focused on what I called him. This isn't a game, I sent. No, it's much more important than that. Then why are you playing with me? I'm not playing, Solnishko. I'm courting you. Courting. Like we were in some historical romance novel instead of modern-day reality. Courting involves flowers and dinner dates, not employment contracts and security details. I gave you dinner. Would you like flowers too? Despite everything, I almost laughed. That's not the point. Then what is the point? I looked down at Noah, now half asleep against my chest, trusting and innocent and everything good in my life. The point is, I don't know if I can trust you. The typing indicator appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then don't trust me yet. Trust the contract. Trust the security I can provide. Trust that I keep my word. And what's your word worth? Everything. One word. Simple and absolute. I need more time, I typed. You have until noon. 3 more hours. That's not enough time to... Elias. Even in text, my name felt intimate. You've already made your decision. You're just afraid to admit it. My hands tightened on my phone. You don't know me. I know you stayed in a job that underpaid you and disrespected you because your son needed stability. I know you helped a bleeding stranger because your first instinct is kindness, not self-preservation. I know you're terrified right now, but not of me. You're terrified of what you feel. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. He was right. Damn him, he was right. Stop reading my mind, I sent back. Then stop being so transparent. I hate you. No, you don't. And there it was. The truth I'd been avoiding since last night in that alley. I didn't hate him. I should. Everything logical said I should. But I didn't. I have a son, I typed. Like that explained everything. I know. And I would never ask you to choose between him and me. He's part of you, which makes him part of us. Us. Like it was already decided. You're very presumptuous. I'm very certain. About what? About you. About this. About the fact that in a pause, 2 hours and 43 minutes, you're going to say yes. My stomach flipped. What if I say no? Another pause. Longer this time. Then I'll respect your decision. I'll cancel the daycare payments. I'll leave you alone. And I'll spend the rest of my life wondering what we could have been. The honesty in those words hurt. That's not fair, I whispered to my phone. Nothing about this is fair, Solnishko. But it's real. Noah stirred against my chest, mumbling something about dinosaurs. I needed to get him dressed, feed him properly, pretend my whole world wasn't tilting on its axis. I need to take care of my son, I sent. Take care of him. I'll be waiting. I set my phone down and looked around my tiny apartment. At the water-stained ceiling and the second-hand furniture and the life I'd built from nothing. Safe, familiar, small. Or I could choose Damien. Choose uncertainty and danger and possibility. Choose everything I'd never dared to want. Noah opened his eyes, looking up at me with complete trust. Mama, what's wrong? Nothing, baby. I kissed his forehead. Everything's going to change, but it's going to be okay. Promise? I thought about Damien's gray eyes, about his voice saying mine, about the way my Omega had recognized something in him that my brain was still trying to deny. Promise, I whispered, and realized I'd just made my choice. The realization hit me like cold water. I'd made my choice. Somewhere between Damien's text and Noah's sleepy trust, I'd crossed a line I couldn't uncross. My hands shook as I reached for my phone. Where do I sign? The response came before I could second-guess myself. Constantine will be there in 20 minutes. 20 minutes, not even enough time to panic properly. I looked down at Noah, still curled against me, and felt my heart squeeze. Hey, sweetheart, how do you feel about an adventure? His eyes lit up the way only a 4-year-old's could. What kind of adventure? The kind where we get to live somewhere new, with a yard maybe, and that swing you dreamed about. Really? His whole face transformed. When? Soon. I smoothed his hair back. Really soon. He threw his arms around my neck, and I held him tight, trying not to think about what I was actually agreeing to, what world I was bringing him into. But then I thought about the water-stained ceiling, the empty fridge, the constant anxiety about making rent. And I thought about Damien's voice. He's part of you, which makes him part of us. Maybe I was making a mistake, or maybe I was finally making the right choice. Constantine arrived exactly 20 minutes later. I'd managed to make myself presentable. Clean clothes, hair brushed, the illusion of having my life together. Noah was dressed in his favorite dinosaur shirt, clutching his triceratops like a talisman. Mr. Kane. Constantine's eyes flicked to Noah, something softening in his expression. And this must be Noah. Noah pressed closer to my leg, suddenly shy. It's okay, baby. I squeezed his shoulder. This is a friend. He works with the man I'm going to be working for. Constantine crouched down to Noah's level, a gesture that surprised me. That's a very impressive dinosaur you have there. It's a triceratops, Noah said seriously. They're herbivores. Ah, a man of science. Constantine's lips twitched. Mr. Volkov will appreciate that. He stood, pulling an envelope from his jacket. Inside was the contract I'd read earlier, along with a pen that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. If you'll sign here, here, An initial here. He pointed to the marked sections. Mr. Volkov has arranged for movers to pack your apartment this afternoon. You'll be in Belmont Towers by tonight. Tonight. My stomach dropped. That's really fast. Mr. Volkov doesn't believe in wasting time. Konstantin's expression was neutral, but I heard the unspoken message. You said yes. He's claiming what's his. I took the pen, my hand trembling slightly. This was it, the moment everything changed. I signed my name 3 times, each stroke feeling both like surrender and liberation. Excellent. Konstantin took the contract, producing another envelope. Your advance. First month's salary plus moving expenses. I opened it and nearly dropped it. Cash. Thick stacks of bills held together with paper bands. $20,000. I can't. This is too much. Consider it a signing bonus. Konstantin's tone left no room for argument. Mr. Volkov will meet you at Belmont Towers at 6 this evening. He's arranged for Noah's belongings to be moved to the attached bedroom in your unit. Attached bedroom? You'll have a 3-bedroom apartment. Master suite for you, bedroom for Noah, and a guest room. Fully furnished unless you prefer to bring your own items. 3 bedrooms, fully furnished. I looked around my cramped apartment. Everything I owned would probably fit in one room of whatever space Damien had arranged. What do I need to bring? My voice sounded distant, like someone else was asking. Whatever has sentimental value. Everything else will be provided. After Konstantin left, I stood in the middle of my living room, that envelope of cash burning in my hands, and tried to process what I'd just done. I'd signed my life over to a man I barely knew, a criminal, a Mafia kingpin, my fated mate. That last thought sent heat flooding through me, unwanted and undeniable. Mama? Noah tugged on my shirt. Are we really moving? Yeah, baby, we really are. Is it because of the man from last night? The one who paid Mrs. Chen? Too observant. My son was too damn observant. Kind of. I'm going to work for him, and he's helping us out. Is he nice? I thought about Damien's eyes, cold when he looked at Konstantin, warm when they landed on me. I thought about the way he'd said, acquire Silvercrest Logistics, like it was nothing. The way he'd called me Solnishko. I think he's complicated. What's complicated mean? It means he's a lot of things at once, good and scary and confusing. Noah considered this with 4-year-old seriousness. Like vegetables? Despite everything, I laughed. Yes, sweetheart, exactly like vegetables. The afternoon blurred past in organized chaos. Movers arrived at 2, professional, efficient, with Konstantin supervising everything. They packed our entire life into boxes in under 3 hours, handling my secondhand furniture like it was precious. I kept Noah occupied in his room, letting him choose which toys came with us, which ones we'd donate. He was excited, chattering about the new apartment, the yard he'd been promised, completely oblivious to how fundamentally our lives were shifting. God, I hoped I was doing the right thing. By 5:30, we were in Konstantin's SUV, heading downtown. Noah pressed his face to the window, watching the city change from rundown to upscale, his eyes wide. Mama, look! That building is so tall! That's where we're going to live, baby. Belmont Towers rose 30 stories, all glass and steel and money. The kind of building I'd walked past 1,000 times without ever imagining I'd enter. Konstantin pulled into the underground garage, parking in a spot marked Reserved Volkov. Of course, Damien owned spots here. Probably owned the whole damn building. The elevator ride to the 28th floor felt endless. Noah bounced with excitement while my stomach twisted into knots. What was I doing? What had I agreed to? The doors opened onto a private hallway. Only 2 apartments on this floor. Konstantin led us to the one on the right, producing a key card. Mr. Volkov is waiting inside. My heart hammered against my ribs. He's here? He wanted to be here when you arrived. The door swung open, and I stepped into a space that looked like it belonged in a magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Modern furniture in shades of gray and cream. Kitchen with marble countertops and appliances I'd only seen in commercials. Art on the walls that was probably worth more than everything I'd ever owned. And standing by those impossible windows, backlit by the setting sun, was Damien. He'd changed since last night. Dark jeans, black shirt rolled to his elbows, looking somehow both casual and dangerous. When he turned and his eyes landed on me, the intensity there made my breath catch. Elias. My name on his lips sounded like a prayer. Welcome home. Home. The word hit me square in the chest. This is too much, I whispered. It's not enough. He moved toward us, his gaze dropping to Noah. His expression shifted, something softer breaking through. And you must be Noah. Noah pressed against my leg again, suddenly shy in front of this imposing stranger. Damien crouched down, the same way Constantine had, making himself less threatening. I'm Damien. I work with your mama now, and I hear you like dinosaurs. Noah peeked out from behind me. Triceratops. Excellent choice. Did you know the Triceratops could weigh up to 12 tons? Really? Noah's shyness started evaporating. That's so heavy. Indeed. Your bedroom has a surprise waiting, if you'd like to see. Noah looked up at me for permission. I nodded, still trying to breathe, and watched Damien offer his hand to my son. Noah took it. Something in my chest cracked open at the sight. This dangerous man being gentle with my child, leading him down the hallway toward what I assumed was the bedroom. The movers will have everything unpacked within the hour, Constantine said quietly. I'll supervise them. You should talk. Then he was gone, and I was alone in this impossible apartment, listening to my son's delighted laughter echoing from somewhere deeper in the space. I walked to those massive windows, pressing my forehead against the cool glass, and looked down at the city below. Somewhere down there was my old life, my old apartment, my old fears. Up here was, what? A new prison? A new freedom? Second thoughts? I hadn't heard Damien return. I turned to find him watching me, hands in his pockets, expression carefully neutral. About 1,000 of them. That's 997 fewer than I expected. Despite everything, my lips twitched. You're very sure of yourself. I have to be. He moved closer, not touching, but close enough that I could feel the heat of him. Because right now you're terrified, and if I show even a moment of doubt, you'll bolt. Maybe I should bolt. Maybe. His eyes held mine. But you won't. Why not? Because you're here. Because you signed. Because some part of you, the part you keep trying to ignore, knows this is right. I wanted to argue, to tell him he was wrong, presumptuous, impossible. But standing there in this apartment he'd chosen for us, watching the way he'd been with Noah, feeling the pull between us that defied logic, I couldn't. What happens now? I whispered. Damien's hand came up, fingers brushing my cheek so gently I barely felt it. Now, he said softly, you let me take care of you. Both of you, and we see where this goes. What if it goes nowhere? It won't. You can't know that. His thumb traced my lower lip, and I stopped breathing. I can, he whispered, because you're mine, Elias. You were mine the moment you touched me in that alley, and I protect what's mine. I'm not. Mama, Noah's voice rang out. Come see. There's a whole wall of dinosaur books. Damien smiled, a real smile that transformed his face. Go. We'll talk more later. Later, when Noah was asleep and I had no buffer between me and whatever this was becoming, I should have been terrified. Instead, walking toward my son's laughter in this impossible new home, I felt something else entirely. Hope. Hope was dangerous. I knew that as I walked down the hallway toward Noah's laughter. Knew it as I passed bedroom doors and expensive art and a life I had no right to. But I couldn't stop the feeling blooming in my chest anyway. Noah's room was a child's dream. The wall of dinosaur books he'd mentioned was just the beginning. There was a bed shaped like a Jeep, shelves lined with toys still in their packaging, a reading nook with pillows that probably cost more than my monthly rent used to be. And Noah, my practical, careful son who'd learned too young not to ask for things, was standing in the middle of it all, with tears streaming down his face. Baby, I dropped to my knees, pulling him close. What's wrong? His voice hitched. It's too much, Mama. We can't keep all this. My heart shattered. 4 years old and already he'd learned that good things didn't last, that gifts came with strings, that people like us didn't get rooms like this. Yes, we can. I held him tighter, my own eyes burning. This is ours now. All of it, I promise. But what if we have to leave? We won't. How do you know? Because Damien Volkov said you're mine, and apparently that means something. Because I signed a contract, because I made a choice, and now I have to believe it was the right one. Because the man who gave us this, Damien, he keeps his promises, and he promised we'd be safe here. Noah pulled back, wiping his eyes. Really? Really? Can I? He looked at the toys, longing and fear warring on his face. Can I play with them? Of course you can. They're yours. I stayed there watching him carefully open a box of dinosaur figurines, treating each one like it might disappear if he wasn't gentle enough. And I thought about all the times I'd had to say no, all the birthdays with homemade cakes and dollar store toys, all the sacrifices he'd never complained about. Maybe this was wrong. Maybe I was making a deal with the devil. But God, it felt good to finally say yes. He's cautious. Damien's voice came from the doorway. I hadn't heard him approach, something that should have frightened me more than it did. He's learned to be. I stood, brushing off my jeans. When you grow up with nothing, you learn not to trust good things. And you, Damien leaned against the doorframe, all casual power and focused attention. Have you learned that lesson too? I'm here, aren't I? That's not an answer. I looked at Noah, now arranging his dinosaurs in careful rows, completely absorbed. Then back at Damien. I don't know what I've learned anymore. You've turned my entire world upside down in 2 days. Good. Good? Your old world was too small. You deserved better. His eyes held mine. You both did. There was such certainty in his voice, like he genuinely believed he was doing something noble instead of something insane. The movers are finished, he continued. Your things are in the master bedroom. I took the liberty of having your closet stocked with essentials. You can return anything that doesn't fit or isn't your style. You bought me clothes. I bought you options. He pushed off the doorframe, moving closer. There's no obligation to wear any of it, but I thought transitions are easier when you don't have to worry about the small things. Small things. Like an entirely new wardrobe in an apartment I'd moved into 6 hours after signing a contract with a man I barely knew. This was insane. Noah needs dinner, I said, because I needed to focus on something normal, something I understood. Already arranged, the kitchen is fully stocked. Constantine made sure to include Noah's favorites. Or, Damien's expression shifted slightly, almost uncertain. I could order in, if you'd prefer not to cook tonight. If I'd prefer. He was giving me choices, small ones maybe, but choices nonetheless. I'll cook, I decided. It'll help me feel less like I'm living in someone else's life. Something flickered in Damien's eyes. Approval, maybe, or understanding. Then I'll stay, if that's all right. My pulse jumped. Stay for dinner? Unless you'd rather I didn't. I should say no, should establish boundaries, should maintain some distance between the man employing me and the man my Omega recognized as mate. You can stay. The kitchen was a dream. Gas range, double oven, refrigerator that was bigger than my old bathroom. I opened it to find exactly what Constantine had promised. Fresh vegetables, quality meats, dairy, and yes, Noah's favorite string cheese and apple juice. How did you know what he likes? I asked, pulling out ingredients for pasta. Something simple, comforting. Damien sat at the kitchen island, watching me move through the space. I asked Mrs. Chen. She was very helpful once she understood I had Noah's best interests at heart. You talked to my neighbor. I talked to everyone who might have information I need. He said it casually, like conducting background checks on my life was perfectly normal. I also know his pediatrician, his daycare teacher's name, his favorite cartoon, and that he's allergic to strawberries. I set down the knife I'd been using to chop onions. That's invasive. That's thorough. That's creepy. That's protection. His voice hardened slightly. I don't take chances with things that matter. And you, his eyes locked on mine, you matter, Elias, which means Noah matters, which means I know everything there is to know about both of you, except you don't. I turned back to the cutting board, needing something to do with my hands. You know facts, statistics, surface information. You don't know me. Then tell me. What? Tell me who you are. Not the struggling Omega with a son, not the former Silvercrest employee. You. He leaned forward. Tell me something real. The onions blurred in front of me. When was the last time someone had asked me that? When was the last time anyone had wanted to know me beyond what I could provide? I wanted to be a teacher, I heard myself say, before Noah, before everything. I was studying early childhood education. He had a scholarship and everything. What happened? I got pregnant. Simple. Final. Lost the scholarship. Couldn't afford to continue, so I shrugged, stirring the pasta. I survived. That's what you do. Silence fell between us, heavy with things unsaid. The father? Damien's voice was carefully neutral, but I heard the edge underneath. Gone before Noah was born. Didn't want an Omega with a kid. Didn't want the responsibility. I kept my eyes on the stove. I haven't seen him since I told him I was pregnant. His name. It wasn't a question. It doesn't matter. His name, Elias. I turned to find Damien's expression had gone cold. Dangerous. The kind of expression that reminded me exactly who he was. Why? I whispered. Because no one abandons what's mine and walks away unscathed. I'm not. You are. He stood, moving around the island toward me. You were mine before you knew it. Before I knew it. Which means he hurt something that belonged to me. So I'll ask again. What's his name? Daniel. Daniel Frost. I set down the spoon, my hands shaking. But you can't. Whatever you're thinking, you can't. Can't what? Make him pay for leaving you alone and struggling? For abandoning his own son? Damien was close now. Close enough that I could see the fury burning in his gray eyes. Watch me. He's not worth it. You are. 2 words. Simple and absolute. My breath caught. This is crazy, I whispered. You're talking about what exactly? Hurting someone because they hurt me 5 years ago? I'm talking about justice. His hand came up, cupping my face with surprising gentleness. I'm talking about making sure everyone in this city knows that you're under my protection. That touching you, hurting you, disrespecting you has consequences. That's not protection. That's possession. Yes. No hesitation, no apology. It is. I should have pulled away, should have been terrified. Instead, I leaned into his touch, hating myself for the weakness, even as I craved more. Mama? We sprang apart like guilty teenagers. Noah stood in the kitchen doorway, clutching his triceratops, looking between us with curious eyes. Dinner ready? Almost, baby. My voice came out steadier than I felt. Go wash your hands. After he disappeared into the bathroom, I turned back to the stove, my heart racing. Damien hadn't moved. I could feel his eyes on me, heavy with unspoken things. This can't happen, I said quietly. What can't? This. You touching me, looking at me like you're mine? Yes. Why not? Because you're my employer. Because I have a son. Because this is already complicated enough without, I gestured helplessly between us, without whatever this is. This is inevitability, Solnishko. His voice was soft but unyielding. You can fight it if you want. Set whatever boundaries make you comfortable. But it won't change the truth. What truth? He moved closer, and I couldn't make myself step back. That you're already mine. That I'm already yours. That every moment we spend pretending otherwise is just wasted time. His hand brushed mine on the counter, barely a touch, but it sent electricity shooting through my entire body. I can wait, he continued. I can give you space, time, whatever you need. But I won't pretend I don't want you. Won't pretend this bond between us is anything less than fate. You're insane. Probably. His lips curved. Does that change how you feel? No. God help me, no. Noah's coming back, I said instead of answering. Damien stepped back, putting proper distance between us. But his eyes promised this conversation wasn't over, not even close. Dinner was surreal. The three of us sitting at that expensive table, eating pasta I'd made in a kitchen that cost more than a year's salary, while Noah chattered about dinosaurs and Damien listened with genuine interest. It felt like playing house. It felt like a family, and that terrified me more than anything else. Because I could get used to this, could let myself believe in the fantasy of safety and security and belonging, could let myself fall for the dangerous man watching me across the table like I was something precious. And when it all fell apart, because it would, eventually, where would that leave us? Mama, you're not eating. I blinked, finding both Damien and Noah staring at me. Just tired, sweetheart. It's been a big day, Damien said quietly. His foot brushed mine under the table. Accident or intention, I couldn't tell. Maybe an early bedtime for everyone? Noah yawned like his body was agreeing. Can you read me a story, Mama? Of course, baby. Can Damien read too? My eyes flew to Damien's. He looked as surprised as I felt. Damien cleared his throat. If your mama says it's okay. They both looked at me, waiting. I should say no, should maintain boundaries, should protect my son from getting attached to someone who might not stay. One story, I agreed, and tried to ignore the way Damien's expression softened. Tried to ignore how right it felt, the three of us together. Tried to ignore the voice in my head whispering, this could be yours. All of this, if you're brave enough to take it. But I wasn't brave. That's what I kept thinking as we walked to Noah's room. Me, my son, and the dangerous man who'd upended our lives in 48 hours. I wasn't brave. I was terrified. Noah picked a book about a T-Rex who was afraid of the dark. The irony wasn't lost on me. You sit there, Mama. Noah pointed to one side of his new bed. And Damien there. We obeyed like the 4-year-old was in charge, which maybe he was. The bed was big enough that there was space between us, but I could still feel the heat of Damien's body, could smell his scent, darker now, more intense in the close space. My omega stirred, wanting to lean closer. I locked every muscle to stay still. Noah settled between us, his small body warm and trusting, and handed the book to Damien. You start. Damien took it with hands that had probably done terrible things. I didn't let myself think about what, and opened to the first page. His voice when he read was softer than I'd ever heard it. Terry the T-Rex was the biggest dinosaur in the valley, but he had a secret. I watched Noah's face instead of looking at Damien, watched my son's eyes grow heavy, his breathing slow as this stranger, not a stranger, my mind corrected, read to him with unexpected gentleness. This was dangerous, more dangerous than contracts or money or any of it. This was my son getting attached. But one night, Terry's friend told him something important. Damien continued, being afraid doesn't make you weak, it makes you smart. And having someone beside you in the dark, that makes you strong. His eyes flicked to mine over Noah's head. The message was clear. My throat tightened. Mama? Noah's sleepy voice broke the moment. Your turn. I took the book with shaking hands and kept reading, my voice barely steady. By the time Terry the T-Rex learned that bravery meant facing fears with friends beside you, Noah was asleep. He's out, I whispered. He trusts easily. Damien's voice was quiet. That worries you? Everything about this worries me. We stayed there for a moment, both looking down at my sleeping son. Then carefully, I extracted myself from the bed and gestured for Damien to follow. In the hallway with Noah's door cracked open, the space between us felt smaller, more charged. Thank you, I made myself say, for reading to him. You didn't have to. I wanted to. Damien's eyes were intense in the low light. He's important to you. That makes him important to me. You can't just... I pressed my fingers to my temples. You can't just decide people are important and reorganize your entire life around them. Why not? Because that's not how the world works. It's how my world works. He stepped closer. I see something worth protecting. I protect it. I see something worth claiming. I claim it. I see someone who belongs to me. I don't belong to you. Your Omega disagrees. He was right. My omega was screaming at me to submit, to lean into his strength, to accept what he was offering, but I couldn't. I need you to leave, I said, wrapping my arms around myself. Please, I need, I need space to think. All right, he didn't argue, which somehow made it worse. But Elias, what? Running from this won't make it go away, and pretending you don't feel it? His hand came up, fingers barely grazing my cheek. That's just lying to both of us. Then he was gone, and I was alone in the hallway of an apartment I didn't earn, wearing clothes I didn't buy, living a life that couldn't possibly be real. I found the master bedroom by accident, third door I tried, and stopped dead in the doorway. The room was enormous, king-size bed with dark gray bedding that looked impossibly soft. More floor-to-ceiling windows showing the city lights, a sitting area with a couch and chairs. Doors leading to what I assumed was a closet and bathroom. My boxes were stacked neatly in one corner, everything I owned fitting into a space the size of a closet. The contrast was obscene. I walked to those windows, pressing my forehead against the glass, and looked down at the city below. Somewhere down there was my old building. Mrs. Chen was probably watching her talk shows. The broken streetlight on the corner was still broken. Life went on without me. It doesn't feel real yet, does it? I spun around, my heart in my throat. Damien stood in the doorway, jacket gone, sleeves still rolled up, looking entirely too comfortable in my space. I thought you left. I'm staying in the guest room, tonight and every night until, he paused, until you ask me to leave. What? No, you can't. This is a dangerous city, Elias. You're in a new place, a high-profile building. Someone needs to be here. Constantine is downstairs, but I'm not leaving you and Noah unprotected on your first night. I wanted to argue. Wanted to throw him out and prove I didn't need protection or help or him. But I was exhausted, emotionally wrung out, and some small, honest part of me was relieved I wouldn't be alone. Fine, I said, but boundaries, Damien, real ones. Whatever you need. I mean it. This, I gestured between us. This can't happen. I work for you now. That's all this is. If that's what you need to believe, it's the truth. Keep telling yourself that, Solnishko. He moved toward the door, then paused. The bathroom is through there. Closet on the left. Everything you should need is stocked. But if something's missing, text me. I'll have it delivered. Damien, yes? Why are you doing this? Really? He turned back, and the look in his eyes made my breath catch. Because 5 years ago, someone abandoned you when you needed them most. Left you to raise a child alone, to struggle, to break yourself trying to survive. And his jaw clenched. I can't change the past, can't undo the hurt, but I can make damn sure no one ever hurts you again. That you never have to choose between keeping the lights on and feeding your son. That you never have to be afraid. That's not your responsibility. It is now. Simple, absolute. Sleep well, Elias. I'm right down the hall if you need anything. This time he actually left. I stood there for a long time, staring at the empty doorway, my chest tight with too many emotions to name. Then I walked into the bathroom and nearly cried again. Marble everything. A tub big enough to swim in, a shower with multiple heads, towels so soft they felt like clouds, and on the counter, arranged like an offering, expensive skincare products, my preferred shampoo brand. How did he know? Toothbrush still in packaging, and a handwritten note. For taking care of yourself as well as you take care of everyone else. I picked up the note with shaking hands, reading it 3 times before setting it down. This man, this impossible, dangerous, overwhelming man, he was trying to kill me with kindness, and God help me, it was working. The shower was hot enough to hurt. I stood under the spray until my skin was pink, trying to wash away the feeling of Damien's eyes on me. The memory of his hand on my face, the way my body responded to his presence like recognizing home. When I finally emerged, wrapped in a towel that probably cost more than my old couch, I found pajamas laid out on the bed. Not mine. I didn't own silk pajamas. These were new, tags still on, my size. Of course they were. I should have been angry about the presumption. Instead, I put them on because they were softer than anything I'd ever worn, and I was too tired to fight anymore. The bed was a cloud. I sank into it and pulled the covers up, surrounded by luxury I didn't deserve, in a life that couldn't possibly last. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. Sleep well, Solnishko. Tomorrow we start building your new life. I stared at the message, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. I should tell him to stop, should establish boundaries, should remind him I was an employee, nothing more. Instead, I typed, "Why do you keep calling me that?" "Because you brought light into my darkness. And because in Russian, it means little sun, which is exactly what you are." My heart did something painful in my chest. I'm not, you are. You just don't see it yet, but you will. Good night, Damien. Sweet dreams, Elias. I'll be here when you wake. I'll always be here. I set the phone down and closed my eyes, trying not to think about those words, trying not to think about how much I wanted them to be true. I woke to screaming, not mine, Noah's. I was out of bed and running before I was fully conscious, my heart in my throat, panic flooding every cell. His door was open, I'd left it cracked, and I burst in to find him sitting up in bed, tears streaming down his face, clutching his triceratops. "Nightmare, baby." I pulled him into my arms, rocking him. "It's okay. Mama's here." "We had to leave," he sobbed into my shoulder. "The bad man came and we had to go back to the old place and you were crying." "Shh. That's not going to happen. We're safe here. I promise." "But what if, is he all right?" I looked up to find Damien in the doorway, hair mussed from sleep, wearing just sweatpants, concern written across his face, and something in me broke. This man, this dangerous, powerful, impossible man, was standing in my son's doorway at 3 in the morning, genuinely worried about a child he barely knew. "Bad dream," I managed. Damien crossed the room without hesitation, crouching beside the bed. "Noah, look at me!" My son pulled back from my shoulder, sniffling. "I made your mama a promise," Damien said seriously, "and I always keep my promises. Do you know what I promised her?" Noah shook his head. "I promised that you would both be safe, that no one would hurt you, that you would never have to leave here unless you wanted to." His voice was gentle but firm. "And I meant it. Do you understand?" "But what if the bad man—" "There is no bad man in this city scarier than me." Damien's lips curved slightly. "And you're under my protection now, which means anyone who tried to hurt you would have to go through me first. And trust me." His eyes met mine over Noah's head. "No one is getting through me." Noah considered this with 4-year-old logic. "Really? Really? Promise?" "I promise." Some of the tension left Noah's small body. He yawned, already halfway back to sleep. "Can you stay?" he mumbled. "Just till I'm asleep again?" He was asking Damien, not me. My heart cracked. "If your mama says it's okay." They both looked at me, and I realized I'd already lost this battle before it even began. "Okay," I whispered. Damien settled on the floor beside Noah's bed, his back against the wall, and started talking in that soft voice about dinosaurs and ancient times and safety. I stayed in the chair in the corner, watching, and realized with terrifying clarity, I was falling. Not just me, Noah too. We were both falling for this dangerous man who'd crashed into our lives and refused to leave, and I had no idea how to stop it, or if I even wanted to. Noah's breathing evened out within minutes, but Damien didn't move. Neither did I. We sat there in the semi-darkness of my son's room, him on the floor, me in the chair, and the silence between us felt alive, breathing, waiting. "You should go back to bed," I finally whispered. "So should you." "I will, after you leave." "Why?" The question hung in the air between us. Why couldn't we both be here? Why did I need him gone before I could relax? "Because being near you makes me forget how to breathe. Because every second we're alone together, I want things I shouldn't want. Because I'm terrified of how badly I want to trust you." "Because it's late," I said instead. Damien shifted, and even in the dim light I could see his expression, knowing, patient, predatory. You're afraid of me? Yes. Good. He stood in one fluid movement, all controlled power. You should be. I'm not a good man, Elias. I've done things that would horrify you. Hurt people. Destroyed lives. He moved closer, and I couldn't make myself retreat. But I would never hurt you. Never hurt him. That fear you feel, it should be reserved for what I'd do to anyone who tried. My pulse thundered in my ears. That's not reassuring. It's honest. He stopped just in front of my chair, close enough that I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. I won't lie to you, won't pretend I'm something I'm not. You want to know who I am? I'm the monster parents warn their children about, the name people whisper in dark corners, the reason bad things happen to worse people. Then why? My voice cracked. Why are you being kind to us? Because you're mine. He said it like it explained everything. And I take care of what's mine. Stop saying that. Why? It's the truth. It's possession, ownership. Like I'm some object you acquired. No. His voice went hard. Objects I acquire. People I protect. I employ. I use. But you. He crouched down so we were eye level, and the intensity in his gaze made my breath stop. You I claim. You I keep. You I would burn this entire city down for if anyone threatened you. Do you understand the difference? I couldn't speak, couldn't think, could only stare into those gray eyes and feel something fundamental shifting inside me. I don't want this, I whispered. Yes, you do. I don't want this. I know. His hand came up, fingers tracing my jawline with devastating gentleness. But you do anyway. Just like I do. Just like we both have since that alley. This is insane. Say it anyway. Say what? That you feel it too. This pull between us. This recognition. His thumb brushed across my lower lip and I shuddered. Say it, Solnishko. Be honest with me. With yourself for once. I can't. You can. You're just scared. Of course I'm scared. The words burst out before I could stop them. You show up bleeding in an alley, then you buy my old company, give me a job I'm not qualified for, move us into a luxury apartment, and act like we're fated or destined or some romantic bullshit when we barely know each other. How am I supposed to? He kissed me. 1 second I was mid-rant. The next his mouth was on mine, and the entire world narrowed to that single point of contact. I should have pushed him away, should have been angry at the presumption. Instead, I grabbed his shirt and pulled him closer. The kiss was nothing like I expected. Not rough or demanding, but devastating in its gentleness. Like he was memorizing the taste of me, learning me, claiming me one slow second at a time. When he finally pulled back, we were both breathing hard. That, he said roughly, is why you're supposed to trust this, because your body already knows what your mind is still fighting. That was, you can't just, I can, I did. And if you tell me you didn't feel anything, you'll be lying. I couldn't tell him that, because my omega was singing, my heart was racing, and every cell in my body was screaming, mine, mine, mine. This is wrong, I managed. This is fate. I don't believe in fate. Then believe in chemistry, biology, whatever scientific explanation makes you comfortable. His hand was still on my face, thumb stroking my cheekbone. But stop pretending you don't feel it. Even if I do, I struggled for words. Even if there's something between us, that doesn't mean we should act on it. You're my employer. I have a son to think about. This is complicated, I know. You've said. He stood, putting distance between us that I both craved and hated. So we'll take it slow. No pressure. No expectations. You just kissed me, and you kissed me back. His smile was sharp. But I won't do it again. Not until you ask me to. I'm never going to ask. We'll see. He moved toward the door, then paused. For what it's worth, Elias, I've never wanted anyone the way I want you, and I've never been patient about getting what I want. So the fact that I'm willing to wait, to let you set the pace, should tell you exactly how serious I am about this, about you. Then he was gone, leaving me alone with my sleeping son and the taste of him still on my lips. I didn't sleep after that, just lay in that too-soft bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the kiss over and over. He was right. I had kissed him back, had wanted more, still wanted more, even now, even knowing how dangerous it was. My phone buzzed somewhere around 5 a.m. I can hear you thinking from down the hall. Despite everything, I smiled. That's called insomnia, not thinking. Liar. You're thinking about the kiss. My face heated even though he couldn't see me. Arrogant. Accurate. It was just a kiss. It was everything. And you know it. I stared at those words, my heart doing complicated things in my chest. This can't happen, Damien. I meant what I said. I know. But it will happen anyway. Because some things are inevitable, Solnishko. We're one of them. You're impossible? Yes. Get some sleep. We have a busy day tomorrow. Doing what? Starting your new job. Meeting my team. Beginning the life we're going to build together. You mean the life where I work for you? I mean the life where you belong to me. But we can start with employment if that makes you more comfortable. I shouldn't have smiled. Shouldn't have felt warm reading his possessive words. But I did. Good night, Damien. Good night, my little son. Dream of me. Arrogant, I sent again, but not wrong. Morning came too fast. I woke to sunlight streaming through those massive windows and the smell of coffee. Real coffee, the expensive kind, coming from somewhere in the apartment. For a moment, I forgot where I was. Then reality crashed back. New apartment, new life, new everything. And Damien Volkov somewhere in my space making coffee. I pulled on a robe, silk hanging in the closet that definitely wasn't mine, and followed the scent. The kitchen looked different in daylight, bigger, more intimidating, and standing at the counter already dressed in a dark suit that probably cost more than a car, was Damien. He looked up when I entered and something flashed in his eyes. Heat, hunger, possession, before his expression smoothed into something more neutral. Good morning. You're still here. I said I would be. He poured coffee into a mug, added cream without asking how I took it, and slid it across the counter to me. Noah's still asleep. I checked on him 20 minutes ago. You checked on my son. Our son now, in all the ways that matter. He's not biologically mine. I know. Damien's jaw tightened. But he's yours, which makes him mine to protect, to provide for, to care about. Do you have a problem with that? I should. I should have 1,000 problems with this man inserting himself into every aspect of our lives. But watching him stand there in my kitchen, having checked on Noah, having made my coffee exactly how I liked it without being told. No, I admitted quietly. I don't have a problem with that. Something shifted in his expression, softened. Good. Because I meant what I said last night. Both of you are under my protection now. And he stopped, seeming to choose his words carefully. I don't take that lightly. I'm starting to realize that. We stood there, coffee cooling between us, the morning light making everything feel surreal. Damien, about last night. Don't. He held up a hand. Don't apologize. Don't take it back. Don't overanalyze it. It happened. We both wanted it. And when you're ready for it to happen again, his eyes locked on mine. You know where to find me. This is complicated. Everything worth having is. I have a son who I'm already half in love with because he's part of you. My breath caught. You can't just say things like that. Why not? It's true. Because it's... I struggled for words. Because it's too much too fast and I don't know how to... Breathe, Elias. He moved around the counter but didn't touch me. Just stood close enough that I could feel the heat of him. You don't have to figure it all out right now. We have time. Do we? All the time you need. His voice dropped lower. I told you, I'm patient when it matters. And you? His eyes traced my face like a touch. You matter more than anything. The door to Noah's room opened. Mama? Damien? My son's sleepy voice called out. Where are you? Damien stepped back smoothly, giving me space. In here, baby, I called. Noah appeared, still in his new pajamas, hair sticking up, clutching his triceratops. His face lit up when he saw both of us. You're both here, Where else would we be? Damien asked, his voice gentle. Noah ran to him, not me, him, and Damien caught him easily, lifting him up like it was the most natural thing in the world. And watching them together, seeing my son smile that bright, trusting smile, seeing Damien hold him with such careful strength, I knew I was already lost. We both were. This dangerous man had already claimed us, whether I'd admitted it yet or not. The only question was, what came next? Pancakes? Damien asked Noah, still holding him like it was completely normal. With chocolate chips? Is there any other way? I watched them move around the kitchen together. Damien setting Noah on the counter, my son chattering about dinosaurs while this dangerous man measured flour and smiled at something a 4-year-old said. It was domestic, terrifying, perfect. You're staring, Damien said without looking at me. You're making pancakes. I'm multi-talented. His lips curved. You should see what else I can do with my hands. Heat flooded through me. Not in front of Noah. I was talking about cooking, but his eyes said otherwise. Noah giggled, oblivious to the tension crackling between us. Damien's funny, Mama. Hilarious, I muttered into my coffee. My phone buzzed. Unknown number, but not Damien's. Different. I almost ignored it. Almost. You should have stayed hidden, Omega. Moving to Belmont Towers? Stupid. Now everyone knows where to find you. Ice flooded my veins. I must have made a sound because Damien's head snapped toward me, his entire demeanor changing in an instant. What's wrong? I showed him the phone with shaking hands. His expression went cold. Arctic. The kind of cold that promised violence. Constantine, he said into his phone. When had he pulled it out? I need a trace on a number. Now. And double security on the apartment. Someone just threatened Elias. Threatened, I whispered. How did they? Who even? I don't know yet. His jaw was tight. But I will. Noah, buddy. His voice gentled. Can you go pick out which cartoon you want to watch? I need to talk to your mama for a minute. Okay. Noah hopped down, completely unaware of the danger, and disappeared toward the living room. The moment he was gone, Damien's hands were on my shoulders. Look at me. I did. His eyes were storm gray, furious. This is what I do, remember? This is who I am. Whoever sent that doesn't know they just signed their own death warrant. But how did they know? That's what I'm going to find out. His grip tightened slightly. But right now, I need you to listen very carefully. You don't leave this apartment without Constantine or me. You don't answer your door. You don't talk to anyone I haven't cleared, understand? You're scaring me. Good, you should be scared. But not of me, never of me. I will handle this. Another text came through. Pretty boy you've got. Would be a shame if something happened to him. Those blue eyes are just like his father's, aren't they? Blue eyes like his father's. My blood turned to ice. They know about Noah, I whispered. They know about, oh God, they know about Daniel. Damien's expression turned murderous. Show me. I handed him the phone with numb fingers. He read it, and something terrible crossed his face. Something that made me understand exactly why people feared him. Get Noah, he said quietly. Too quietly. Pack a bag. We're leaving. Leaving? But you said this place was secure. It is. But whoever this is knows too much, which means someone talked. Someone who shouldn't have access to this information does. His eyes met mine. Someone in my organization. A traitor? Looks like it. The betrayal in his voice cut deep. Where will we go? Somewhere no one knows about. My private safe house. I'll have Constantine bring... His phone rang. He answered immediately. Tell me you have something. I watched his face change as he listened. Watched him go pale, actually pale, before his expression shuttered completely. Understood. Lock it down. I'm on my way. He hung up. We need to leave. Now. What happened? That text came from inside Silvercrest Logistics, my old company, the one Damien had acquired. But how? That's what I'm going to find out. But Elias, he grabbed my hand. There's more. Constantine ran the number. It pinged off a cell tower 3 blocks from here. Whoever sent that message is close. Very close. Fear shot through me. Noah is fine. He's in the living room, and there are 4 guards in the hallway I didn't tell you about. But we're not taking chances. He moved toward the living room, me right behind him. Noah was on the couch, engrossed in cartoons. "Hey, buddy," Damien said calmly. "How do you feel about an adventure?" "What kind of adventure?" "The kind where we go somewhere secret. Just you, me, and your mama." "Like a hideout?" "Exactly like a hideout." Noah's eyes lit up. "Cool. If only he knew how not cool this was." I started toward my room to pack, but Damien caught my wrist. "5 minutes, only essentials. We'll get everything else later." "Damien, what aren't you telling me?" He hesitated, and in that hesitation I saw fear, actual fear in the eyes of a man who feared nothing. The text mentioned Daniel, Noah's father. His voice was carefully controlled. I had Constantine run a check on his current location. "And? He's been dead for 3 years. The world tilted. "What?" "Car accident. At least that's what the police report says. But the timing..." Damien's jaw clenched. 3 years ago was right when I started consolidating power in this city, when I started making enemies of people who used to run things. "You think someone killed him?" "I think someone killed him and is now using that information to threaten you, which means this isn't random. This is personal." His eyes burned into mine. "Someone knows you're important to me, and they're willing to use you and Noah to get to me." My hands started shaking. "This is because of you, because I'm with you." "Yes." No hesitation, no apology, just brutal honesty. "Being with me makes you a target. I won't lie about that. But..." His grip tightened. "I will also burn this entire city to ash before I let anyone touch you or Noah. Do you understand me?" I understood. I understood that I'd traded one kind of danger, poverty, instability, fear, for another. And I understood that despite everything, I trusted this man to keep us safe. "5 minutes, I said. 4 now." I ran to my room, throwing clothes and essentials into a bag with shaking hands. My mind was racing. Daniel was dead, had been dead for years. Someone had killed him. Someone was now threatening Noah. Someone inside Damien's world had betrayed him. This was so much bigger than I'd realized. I grabbed Noah's favorite stuffed animal and was heading back when I heard it. Glass shattering. A shout. Damien's voice, sharp and commanding. "Get down!" I ran toward the living room and stopped dead. The massive windows, bulletproof, Damien had said, had a spiderweb crack in them. Damien had Noah pressed against the wall, his body shielding my son. And standing in the doorway, the door that should have been locked, should have been secure, was Constantine, with a gun pointed at Damien's back. "I'm sorry, sir," Constantine said, his voice empty. "But you left me no choice." Time stopped. Damien's eyes met mine across the room, and in them I saw calculation, fury, and something that looked like an apology. "Elias," he said quietly, "take Noah and run." "I can't leave you. Run, now." Constantine's gun shifted, toward me. "Nobody's running anywhere," he said, and pulled the trigger. The sound was deafening, but the bullet never reached me, because Damien moved, faster than should have been possible, putting himself between me and the gun. The impact sent him staggering back. Blood bloomed across his white shirt. "No!" The scream tore from my throat. He hit the floor and Noah started crying, and Constantine was already reloading, and I realized with crystal clarity, we were going to die here. All of us, unless I did something. My omega surged forward, all protective instinct and furious rage, and I grabbed the nearest thing I could find, a marble bookend from the shelf. I threw it with everything I had. It caught Constantine in the temple. He went down hard, but not before getting one more shot off. This one found its mark. Pain exploded in my shoulder, white hot and blinding. I fell. The last thing I saw before darkness claimed me was Damien crawling toward me, leaving a trail of blood, his eyes desperate. "Stay with me, Solnishko," he whispered. "Stay with me. I can't lose you, not when I just found you." His hand found mine, and everything went black. Part 2 coming soon, if you're ready for the truth.